I'm Natalia Ortiz.
And I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents.
He's one of Italy's biggest celebrities, and he's also a saint, remembering the life of Padre Pio.
The Pope draws crowds in a land of unbelievers.
And Lino Rulli discovers a new hobby in the great outdoors.
They mate right here in Jamaica Bay. Hundreds, thousands of them.
To change the rating on the show if we're going to watch any mating.
Good evening. Matt McClure has the night off. It may be Hispanic Heritage Month, but it was all Italian in Glendale, Queens yesterday. Parishioners from the area gathered at St. Pancras Church to celebrate the life of another saint, the much-beloved Padre Pio.
They sure did. It started off with a mass celebrated by Auxiliary Bishop Frank Caggiano, followed by a procession through the streets. Our cameras were there to capture some of the sights and sounds of this festive occasion.
Rainy weather couldn't keep hundreds of faithful Catholics from celebrating and honoring St. Pio. They processed around Glendale, Queens with banners from area churches and a flower-adorned statue of the saint whose feast day is September 23rd. This parade followed a cluster mass celebrated in Italian at St. Pancras.
Ognuno può dire, Padre Pio mio, io amo tanto i fratelli e sì.
The procession began immediately after the Mass and covered several city blocks. It stopped by the nearby fire station to bless the fire trucks before returning to St. Pancras. St. Pancras was selected for the Mass because it is home to the nationally recognized Padre Pio prayer group. Members of this group join together monthly for Mass and the Rosary. Monsignor Gregory Walensky was appointed pastor at St. Pancras in June. He said that the parish has a special devotion to Padre Pio, a devotion that this new statue will help to foster. Among other things, Padre Pio is remembered for being the first priest to receive the stigmata, the marks of the crucifixion. He received the wounds in 1918, and he is usually depicted wearing gloves. Padre Pio is also remembered for his ability to bring people closer to God through the sacrament of confession. He was known to hear confession sometimes up to 12 hours a day. He died in 1968 and was canonized in 2002.
A celebration in Glendale for one of the most venerated saints, Padre Pio. Very nice. Some of my Italian friends had, their dad was named Pio. I love that.
Really?
Yeah. And what was I going to say? When they were singing the Mass in Italian, I speak some Italian, so.
okay.
Bravissimi Italiani. I was very happy. Molto piacere.
Nice. Well, I liked it because it's one of the most recent saints that's been canonized. So in 2002, it's not too far.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not too long ago.
Well, stay tuned. There is more Currents straight ahead. When we return, the Pope wraps up a historic visit. We'll have that and the rest of the day's headlines. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Natalia Ortiz.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Coming up a little later, Michelangelo and Raphael team up. And no, we're not talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
But first, a look at the day's headlines. Pope Benedict wrapped up his trip to the Czech Republic earlier today with an outdoor Mass in front of an estimated 40,000 people. Yesterday, he celebrated Mass in Moravia, and as we hear from H2O News, the theme of the Mass was hope.
Pope Benedict XVI celebrated Mass on Sunday morning in Brno in Moravia, the second city of the Czech Republic. The central theme of the Mass was Christian hope. In his homily, the Holy Father emphasized the need to build our lives on Christ. The Pope said that although technical developments and the improvement of social structures are certainly important and necessary, they are not sufficient to guarantee the moral well-being of society. Before the Angelus, Pope Benedict recalled that Moravia is a land rich in Marian shrines, and was the place from which John Paul II began his travels in Central and Eastern Europe after the end of communism. The Pope then urged the faithful in the land of St. Cyril and Methodius to keep their traditions alive.
In an address to political leaders earlier in his trip, Pope Benedict emphasized what he called the irreplaceable role of Christianity for the formation of conscience. The most recent census numbers indicate only about a third of the Czech people belong to a church. And closer to home, a lay volunteer at a parish in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, is charged with sexual abuse. Police say 58-year-old Angelo Serrano is accused of molesting a 10-year-old boy. Serrano worked as the interim director of religious education at St. Lucy St. Patrick Parish. He's been removed from that post pending an investigation. 2 nuns are dead following a horrific car crash in North Fort Myers, Florida. It happened yesterday afternoon when they were driving home from a retreat. Their car crashed into an SUV trying to make an illegal left turn. 2 80-year-old nuns were killed. A third was treated for injuries and later released. The driver of the SUV was in serious condition, and he's being investigated for driving under the influence.
Word today that the push for personhood may be gaining momentum. The Colorado-based group Personhood USA says it is working in 30 states right now, trying to get the states to change their constitutions to declare that life as a person with rights begins at conception. Critics say the personhood argument is an effort to stop in vitro fertilization, some forms of birth control, and stem cell research. Well, what's the key to happily ever after? A recent study published in the Journal of Family Psychology shows that couples who do not live together before getting married report happier marriages with less conflict and lower divorce rates. Over 1,000 people were randomly surveyed over the last decade, and those who lived together before getting engaged reported less marital satisfaction, dedication, and confidence within their marriages, as well as a greater potential for divorce. 18 years after his death, a bishop from Sacramento, California, may be on the path to sainthood. The diocese there has compiled a 1,700-page report on Bishop Alphonse Gallegos. A 13-year-old girl who is blind claims to have immediately regained her sight after praying at the bishop's grave.
And stay tuned, there's more currents straight ahead. Coming up, volunteers remember those who are often forgotten.
Welcome back to Currents. I'm Francesca Maxime.
And I'm Natalia Ortiz. Coming up a little later, Lino Rulli gets back to nature without leaving the city.
But first, look at some remarkable people who are making a life and the end of life easier for people in Illinois. Reporter Lori Obert has the story of volunteers who are making sure that hospital patients do not have to make their final journey alone.
It's still something that nobody is going to be comfortable with, knowing that you're going to sit with somebody that could pass at any time.
Todd Ingalls says it's not easy when he's called to sit with patients in the final moments of their life, but not when he considers the alternative.
The thought of somebody dying with nobody there for them.
Compassionate Companion volunteers talk with the patients. They pray with them or simply hold their hand. Often the volunteer knows nothing about them.
Sitting there thinking about, this person's history, where their family was, if they had family.
It's hard to imagine someone dying alone, but some have outlived their family and friends, or they live too far away. Gail Myers says volunteers like Ingle are invaluable.
When I see somebody dying alone, it's really hard on them, and They just seem uncomfortable.
Even though some patients may be unresponsive, there's often a reaction to the volunteer's presence.
The patient's sense of hearing and touch is the last to go. Staff have told us that they watched a patient who maybe was restless before settle down once they realized they had someone with them.
And that, Ingalls says, is what gives him the strength to sit by someone's side.
It makes you feel good knowing that you're, making that person more peaceful and making their passing easier.
And there are compassionate companion groups not only in Illinois, but all around the country.
From the healing arts to art in general, and for a milestone for some masterpieces, Rome Reports has more on a special anniversary in the Eternal City.
The city of Rome has always been synonymous with art. In all its glory and splendor, the city's art makes it one of the most beautiful places in the world. This year, one of the most prominent works of art in Rome is celebrating 500 years.
Cosa è successo nell'anno 1508?
In the summer of 1508, Pope Julius II asked Michelangelo and Raphael to come to Rome to paint the Sistine Chapel and the Room of the Signatura. It was like a miracle, two of the most important artists of the moment together in Rome, thanks to a pope that understood their genius.
The Disputation of the Holy Sacrament is in the heart of the Vatican Museums, and it's celebrating 500 years since its completion. It's an allegory of theological truth. It represents this through the glory of the Eucharist, adored by the triumphant Church in heaven and the militant one on earth. The fresco is in the Room of the Signatura in the Vatican's Apostolic Palace, right in front of one of Raphael's other frescoes, the School of Athens, an allegory of philosophical truth. That's why many interpret this room as a confrontation between theological truth and philosophical truth. Besides being known as the Disputation of the Holy Sacrament, this work of art has no intrinsic controversy. 500 years after Raphael's final brushstroke, it's only an apparent controversy because there cannot be truths that contradict one another.
Close to 4 million people visit Vatican museums each year.
And I love it when I had been to Italy. I've been a couple of times. They do. I mean, it is really one of the richest cities for art in the world, and that just is a very obvious right there.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to Italy. Actually, I've never been to Europe, but it's definitely next on my to-do list. I'm dying to go.
Yeah, you'll get there eventually. I think we all.
But it looks so beautiful, everything that they have to offer, and that it's linked also with our faith. Isn't that interesting? That it's not just art for art, but it's all art that also kind of represents our faith.
It sure does, and one of the other things that represents our faith that obviously these volunteers here in this country have is their compassion, their faith in dealing with those who are nearing the end of their lives. Can you imagine sitting with somebody who doesn't even know you and being able to just share that moment with them?
That touched me very much when I saw that, because you don't really think about people that don't have family members or friends, and at least in my case, I'm blessed to have that right now. But I never thought what it must be like to be alone. And you know what? Sometimes we forget that it's not just about our own, but it's everyone. We're all sort of, I think, we should be taking care of each other.
Yeah, well, it's a good way to look out for one another. I know we did a piece a little while ago on some folks that did that here in the diocese. So, yes, it's one of the things that a lot of people take into high regard. In any case, stay tuned. There is much more current straight ahead.
Coming up, a report from Lino Rulli that's for the birds.
I loved Sesame Street as a kid, so let's start with Big Bird.
Okay.
Finally tonight, Lino Rulli has probably been called a bird brain once or twice in his life, maybe by us. He recently had a chance to prove that he was a little smarter than our fine feathered friends.
Lino teamed up with Monsignor Stephen Ferrari, who has, as territorial vicar, he keeps an eye on parishes in eastern Brooklyn. When he's not doing that, he's keeping an eye on something else: birds.
Well, Monsignor Ferrari is an avid birder, and he certainly knows his stuff, and that's why tonight he is Lino Rulli's Catch of the Day.
Hey, I'm Lino Rulli here in New York City. Of course, as you can tell, why wouldn't we be in New York City? I'm actually not a big fan of nature, more of a city person myself. However, I'm going to try to learn to enjoy nature. Monsignor Stephen Ferrari's with me. How are you?
Good to see you, Lino.
All right, we need a Monsignor to get this project done, me enjoying nature. We're going to go bird watching, huh?
Well, actually, we're going to go birding today.
Oh, that's way cooler than bird watching. We're going to go birding.
Birding, yeah.
Birding.
Birding is serious bird watching.
Oh, serious. Now, I see you have binoculars. Am I going to get that?
Yes, I have a pair for you as well.
Yes.
Put them up to your eyes first.
Well, that's a good way to start. All
Yes.
right, boy, Monsignor, you didn't get that title for nothing, did you? Put them up to your eyes first, all right?
All right, now you need to adjust the width if they're comfortable for you. If not, you know, if you're not able to see clearly, move them this way or this way.
What am I looking for?
Just clarity, just to focus, so that you.
I've never had clarity in my life. How did you start bird watching?
Okay, I started bird watching as a child, just interested in nature. Not just birds. At that point, I was looking at birds. I was looking at trees.
You don't really need
whatever.
binoculars for the trees, do you? They're usually rather
No,
stationary objects. You can walk right up and touch them.
They're pretty. Yes. There's a gas hawk over there.
The bus? You
no,
say a gas
no,
hog?
in the sky.
Oh, I
a
thought you
gas
said
hawk.
A hawk.
You see that big metal thing in the sky?
The plane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a gas hawk. Lino, you see those white birds, big white birds over there?
Yep.
When you're starting with birding, you should always start with big birds because those you can see and you can probably identify.
I loved Sesame Street as a kid, so let's start with Big Bird.
Okay.
I wish that'd
Put your binocular on that big white bird there.
Okay.
All right. Now, you see that the feathers are white, but the bill is not white. Can you tell the color?
No.
Okay, it's a yellow bill.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I just didn't want to get the answer wrong, to be honest with you. I was afraid I'd say something wrong, so I just said no.
That's when we need to turn to the field guides to identify what we're looking at.
Nice.
So what we're looking at was a large white bird, great egret.
Oh, the Ardria alba.
You'll notice that this bird has a yellow beak, which is what we saw, and all black legs. Well, Lino, this is not a bird.
Yeah?
Take your binoculars down.
Sorry.
This is not a bird, but...
is that a helmet?
No, it's a horseshoe crab. This hasn't changed in millions of years.
This thing's millions of years old?
Not this one.
Oh.
Not this particular one.
It's too close.
It's too close.
Too close. You got to back that thing up for me to see it.
And they mate right here.
Hey.
They mate right here in Jamaica Bay. Hundreds, thousands of them.
To change the rating on the show if we're going to watch any mating. Or is it not mating season?
No, it's not mating season. May, the month of May.
It's okay, kids. Don't worry.
In the
no
spring.
Mating.
They lay their eggs here. This is important for the birds because the birds come along and they eat the eggs. That's an osprey, also called a fish hawk. These are also migratory birds. So this guy's going to be flying south very soon. And
now what's that?
What's this? This is a yellow-shafted flicker.
The yellow-shafted flicker?
Yes. Well,
who's making these names up?
Because look at his feathers. I don't know if you see his feathers.
I see. I'm looking at him right now.
He just landed.
Yep, he just landed.
Okay. And his feathers are yellow shafts. Oh, now the gray one is all the way up on the top.
Let me see. If it's a night heron.
What's it doing out in the daytime?
Yeah. Why are we looking at night herons in the middle of the day?
Well, because they do exist all 24 hours.
Well, that's true. They don't only exist at night. What's the joy you get out of doing this?
I connected with spirituality because for me, I'm in God's creation. God created, just as He created you and me, believe it or not, He created everything we see, everything that's around us. And so I see God here. And it puts me in touch.
I'm going to get the binoculars out for that.
And it puts me in touch with a deeper reality. It really does. I'm awed by the color, the variety of the birds, and the way they're able to survive, disregarding who we are. They just fly all around us.
Everybody ignores me, so I'm pretty used to that. All right, Monsignor, I think I'm getting the hang of all this nature thing and the bird watching, birding thing. I'm actually starting to get the hang of this, man. I appreciate this.
Oh, Lino, excuse me, there's a yellow-bellied sapsucker over there. I gotta go. You can find your way back, right?
Huh?
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
No, I can't find my way back. I didn't say I liked nature. I said I'm starting to get the hang of nature. All right, let's see if I can find a cab out here.
Yellow-bellied sapsuckers.
You know, I say it again and again. We get all the serious pieces, and Lino gets to go on a field trip, right? to watch birds.
It's true. It's true. I'm surprised you didn't bring a picnic or something.
Exactly.
No, it's nice though. I think a lot of people feel that way about nature and faith. I know I do a lot of the times when I go to the beach or the ocean. You just enjoy connecting with what you see, the beauty and the marvel of what it is, whether it's the crashing waves, whether it's in this case the animals, the birds.
I got to tell you, I'm not much of a nature girl myself. Maybe I should get more in touch with it, but I'm such a city girl. I always forget that there's other creatures around, not just
well, whatever. I mean, you know,
this helps. This helps.
Whatever works for you. You know, it's really an individual thing, I think, just for some people. But also, you have a good story coming up tomorrow, your third?
Yes, my third part in the Hispanic Heritage Series. I'm actually working on, it's the parish where most Hispanics go in all of the Diocese of Brooklyn. And so it's Our Lady of Sorrows. And it was really impressive to see how there's not one pew available, they have 5 masses in Spanish, 2 in English, and people are standing in the aisles, in the hallway back, in the front. I mean, they've got to bring extra chairs, and this is every Sunday.
Overflow.
It's crazy,
well,
but it's very nice.
Well, I guess that's, you know, a testament to the Hispanic population that is very faithful and very, very religious.
And this parish caters to them because they have a lot of the, the traditions that they bring from back home. You know, a lot of the Catholic traditions, can vary a little bit. They're very devout. Obviously, Hispanics are very Marian, and so you've got Our Lady of Sorrows, but then they also have Our Lady of the Swan, which I had never even heard of, and she. They bring her from, she comes from Ecuador. So it's interesting. You learn a lot about all the, the different cultures in our diocese.
We'll hear more about that tomorrow then, exactly. And
that's right.
we'll also see tomorrow and hear more tomorrow about whether or not our own fearless Matt McClure comes home with the statue from his acting trip down
we
to
have
Georgia.
not heard back from him, so I'm wondering if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know how to gauge that.
I'm not sure. I should go check his Facebook. I was busy writing today, so I didn't, but maybe he'll have an update on there. If not, the suspense hopefully will not kill y'all at home, and we can tell you what happens with him tomorrow.
That's right. Well, that is all for this edition of Currents.
And remember, you can always watch us online. Just go to currentsny.net, and there you can see clips from Currents and check out our blog called Riding the Wave.
We'd also like to hear from you, so send us an email at dropusaline@currentsny.net. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Natalia Ortiz.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Thank you so much for watching this Monday. Have a great night.